Hello, okay. Hey everyone, I'm Avanti, and I'm the Pre-Teen Technology Specialist at Workshop for Me. Workshop for Me is a non-profit organization through which we teach children aged 6 to 16 how to code. The education system, it's great for when it was invented, which is over 150 years ago, but now it needs some improvement. Mainly some work around the topic of STEM. One huge problem is how many people actually want to do STEM. And let's face it, STEM is the future. Here's some graphs and statistics. This is a graph of adult problem-solving skills using a computer. So I would say Sweden and Finland are in the lead, and now let's see how Greece is doing. Keep in mind, this country or piece of land has been here for over 2,500 years, more or less. And here, job posting requiring coding skills. So half of the top few jobs need frequent coding requirement, but what about the others? And this is a graph that shows us most of the time, the higher math you have, the higher coding skills you have. Now this could also be the other way around, but most of the time, as I said, it's like this. And this is how many people have enrolled for these courses. So I would say computer science and programming is doing pretty well, but on the other hand, maths, all the way at the bottom. We need to change this. But what I'm worried about a little bit more is how many girls are doing STEM and how many want to do STEM. Let's look at some more statistics from 2016. 4 million people work as secretaries in the United States, and 96% of them are women. 96%? Come on, guys. Only 24% of STEM workers are female. 58% of men graduate in STEM at a tutorial level, but only 33% of women. 733 million girls join school every year. Around 55% of girls want to do something in STEM. Out of that, only 33% of women end up taking STEM as a career. And then it drops down again, because only 24% of STEM workers are female. This is serious. And now some of you guys might be thinking, hey Avanti, we've known these statistics. We've known them for years. Why are you repeating this to us? To which I would answer, what have we really done about it? Okay, so how can we attract more girls in STEM? We often hear in countries like China, Singapore, and Korea that they introduce STEM at an early age and enforce it strictly. They do that to the point where most people think of this as a punishment to children, rather than a fun and enjoyable experience. As a matter of fact, most girls in their future try to avoid STEM just because of this. The key point I'm trying to make here is how should we find the right environment for students to study STEM, as most have wanted to, in the right environment? Believe it or not, this is one of the questions which have been intriguing me for years, and I've always thought about it. Quite often, I discuss this subject with students older than me in secondary, year 5 and 6, which would be grade 10 and 11. And I ask them, what subjects do you want to take when you're older? And why do you want to take them? What I hear fascinates me. Most secondary students start to view STEM early on in grade 7 and 8 when they've only studied it for 2 years. And it's not that they lack smartness in any manner. They're completely fine and healthy. However, they still say, we fear math, we fear science, we fear STEM. They carry on saying, I'm going to take any subject, avoiding STEM. They say it shouldn't have any element of STEM in it at all. Now listen to this though. It's not that they like art or literature. It's just that they're doing it to simply avoid STEM. But why? Now before I come to that, you guys might be thinking how I differ to all these kids. Why do I like STEM and everyone else doesn't? Well, this is kind of my personal story, but I'll share it with you anyway. So I had an advantage to start off with. My mom and brother were already into STEM, mostly technology. They started a non-profit organization which taught kids around my age to kids 16 years old. One day, I decided to sneak in and see what they were doing. And I saw creativity. And I loved to be creative when I was younger. So I wanted to start learning how to code. And at the beginning, I really didn't like it. I thought it was boring. I thought nerds did it. But then, after a while, I figured out that I can do whatever I want with this. So then I started to like it a little bit more. Also, when I was younger, I really liked mixing things and trying to figure out how things work. For example, when my mom and brother were replacing a hard drive, I always wanted to watch and offer to help. Another boosting force is, well, I'm sure a lot of parents are worried that if they give their child an electronic device for too long, then they're going to use it to watch too many YouTube videos or play games or basically waste their time on it. My parents weren't exactly like that. They said I could use my electronic device for however long I wanted, as long as I use it for something productive as well. Us children think that if you're trying to stop us from something, you're trying to hide us from something. And let me tell you, we're going to do whatever it takes to find out what you're hiding. Okay, coming back to the topic of students trying to avoid STEM. Why do they do this? Where and why did this fear come in? I asked them. They don't answer. So I try to figure out myself. I started looking into textbooks and see how I will do. I'm in second year too, and I'm first introduced to STEM. What I found out is that STEM is presented in a dry, boring, and sluggish manner. It's often connected to the real world too. Here are some things I found. Right up here, I have surds, logarithms, indices, and quadratic equations. And I don't know about you, but these aren't the type of books I would pick up and be like, wow, the colored diagrams really hold the page together, you know, and I love the explanations. I would more be like, where are all the colored diagrams? I can't understand a thing from this. Now, I'm in no way saying that these books aren't good. I'm just saying it would be a little bit less intimidating with cool colors and diagrams. Okay, now let's look at science. Again, the same thing applies. More colors and diagrams, please. In each of the cases above, when I read these, I didn't find any pleasure, excitement, drama, or joy. However, when I pick up a novel like Alice in Wonderland, I find all of that, and more. My question to everyone here today is, why does this difference even exist? Why is one so dry, boring, and sluggish, and the other one just the opposite? So I went around, again, asking this question to people older than me, my teachers, and working professionals. They all gave me a strange and awkward look and answered, because it's a STEM subject? They carried on saying, which you cannot compare it to a novel. I gasped. And from this answer, my thought process started. After asking many questions to my friends, family, and classmates, I found a solution. A way to make STEM a fun experience for both kids and adults. Almost everyone in my class has these small, tiny electronic devices, which they seem to be constantly staring at. And people are complaining that all they're doing are playing games on. So, why can't we develop a software in which girls can learn STEM through their electronic device? I've asked my friends and they always say, it's much more fun learning from a device compared to learning from paper. Now, you guys might be thinking, yeah, sorry to break your bubble, but this is already done. There are websites like Khan Academy and IXL, but schools aren't using those, so how will this be any different? Now that's true, but they aren't specifically tailored by the school. I've noticed that every single school has a slightly different curriculum and way of teaching. If they could just make an app which they could use, then I'm sure the students would start using it as soon as they can. What I often find is it's not the mindset which is stopping schools from progressing. I'm sorry, it's not the infrastructure which is stopping the schools from progressing. It's the mindset, and it takes a long, long time to change the school's mindset. But on the other hand, schools countries like Africa, India, and Nigeria have the mindset but lack the infrastructure. So it's either one or the other. My question to the countries who do have the infrastructure is why would you try to limit yourself just to try and fit in with all the others? Often schools fear change and they fear that they'll be left out. It's the same with people. We fear change. A study was conducted in the United States saying the majority of people would choose to be extremely wrong, but not be isolated and still have friends, compared to be right, but be isolated and have no friends and no one talks to them. And frankly, I agree. I don't want to be isolated just to be right either. But let's go a little deeper into this. Why would you be isolated just to have a new idea? It all comes down to the same old thing. We fear change without knowing it. If you look back, how many ideas have you said no to during a meeting? Or to a new employee? Or even to a friend? Seems like more than you initially thought, huh? So let's all step back, forget our old boundaries, and innovate, coming up with new solutions. Thank you.